What's going on, everybody? Doc from Average Gamer Guys back yet again, and you know what we're doing? We're playing some Halo Wars, and we're checking out the Colony update on the live stream yesterday. First of all, just want to say a big shout out to everybody. Really do appreciate all the support. I think that's the first time we've had two videos in the same day within the 24-hour period get to 1,000 views in the first day. So thank you guys so very much for all of the support. It really does mean the world, and it's just cool to see that we're putting out good content for you guys. And that you guys are enjoying it. So for today, we're doing a solo 1v1 ranked deathmatch. Now, I'm cognizant of how long these videos are. This is about a 31-minute game, 32 minutes I think it ended up taking me. So at this portion, I'm going to just kind of speed through most of the initial setup, and I'll just hit some of the key points. So I played one or two matches with Colony before. Obviously played a little bit of a skirmish match yesterday. Was kind of testing it out, and I am liking it for solo deathmatch. Is it the absolute best leader? I don't know yet. Again, multiplayer wasn't the one. Wasn't a game mode that we played a ton, but it was something that I did enjoy, and I do like playing, especially 1v1s, because to me it just shows a pretty good amount of skill when you're just going up, one-on-one. And so what I'm doing here is I'm actually taking kind of an aggressive approach to base expansion. Those of you that know me, and have been around the channel a little bit, know that by no means am I an expert. I'm probably never going to get really into the high champ ranks of this game. And I'm not really much of a rush strategy. I've kind of adopted kind of a mid-range strategy, I think, with pretty aggressive base expansion at first, especially once I saw that he was doing the same. So once I saw that my opponent had taken that far back middle mini base, I knew that he was going to kind of go for more of an expansionist. He probably wasn't really going to rush. I see him building a couple choppers, but nothing to really worry me. So at this portion, I really focus my first main base just pretty heavily on supplies, with one generator to get some power going, and harvester, excuse me, you guys know what I'm talking about. And then from this point, I just kind of started to run a little bit of a defensive strategy. I'm just building up some scout units with some of our awesome skitterer units, just to provide a little bit of capability in case he does push somewhat of a smaller army on one of my not as well upgraded bases. But at this portion, I'm really just trying to kind of expand, get my footprint set, and really kind of divide the map. So he took that far back base. I'm going to take that middle central base because it actually provides a pretty good capability for me to kind of see if things are coming. And I pushed to that far back left base really because I was hoping that he wasn't going to see it. A lot of people expect if you're going to make a base expansion, you're going to take the one right in front of you, which is exactly what he did on his side. And I'm going to go far back to that side just to kind of see if I can kind of sneak in a base and get that base pretty well upgraded, get it cloaked. So then it's kind of a surprise when he comes in and maybe my second base isn't as well developed. Maybe he thinks I'm not expanding as well as I need to and might have an advantage. Maybe push his attack a little bit more, and then kind of essentially end up making a mistake. Now, long story short, that doesn't exactly work out in this game because he actually is pretty patient. But his patience really allows me, I think, to do what I do best in this game, which is to do aggressive base expansion. The other thing I'm really liking about Colony, I get the skitterers up front. I really do like that tri-beam attack. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And then being able to get some of the other unit drops in pretty quick are really nice. And the nice thing is, getting your hunter captain out, he can single-handedly take down points for you, really without taking just about any damage. So at this point, I see he's got a scout unit over here. I've got my cloaking generator up, so I know he can't touch it. I'm just going to destroy that. And at this point, I'm like, okay, this guy knows this base is coming. I need to maybe make a little bit of a push here. So we're going to slow down back to regular speed. And that's what I do. I'm going to take just my scout units, which I've upgraded, attach skitterers to all of them, which I've also upgraded. So I've got my scouts with shrapnel rounds, and I've got my skitterers with their oh, excuse me, I don't quite have focus beam yet, but that's pretty much the next thing on my list to do. Get them going. I'm going to again try to take this middle energy point here and just really kind of try to win the resource war. I make this little push over here. It's okay. I won't say it's the best. Having the scouts with the skitterers, they do a good amount of damage. I'll get the focus beam in here, just try to get some damage in. He does a great job of using his healing abilities, but at this point I'm really just kind of trying to pressure this base, get him to commit troops, and really kind of see what his army composition is. This is something that I've really started to enjoy. It's definitely not a rush. We're at 15 minutes into the game, but I do like to see at this point he kind of has to, he's forced to bring the majority of his army over, and it lets me see he's building some locusts. He's got a pretty good diversity. You know, I saw some elite rangers in there. Obviously saw some grunts. I think he had a couple hunters that were guarding the point. So at this point I know, okay, I need to start prepping up. I need to start taking a look. But at this point you can see 15 minutes into the game, I've already got advanced logistics all the way cranked out. So I know that I'm going to be able to just burn through making units. Even if he attacks this base and I really don't have much of an army left. I have 8 population at this point. I know that I'm going to be able to crank out some stuff pretty fast. So I decide this is probably the base he's going for, and I'm just going to defend it with just a whole bunch of these random infantry units that don't cost me a whole lot, because you can see I'm doing really well on supplies. I'm really cranking that out, and I know that this army itself is just going to beef itself up. Plus having cloaking generator, he's not going to be able to see the whole base, so I've got 2 turrets on it. And I know I'm pretty safe to be able to go and just kind of continue to expand and build up my bases, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I've started to become a big fan too of any banished, really, of doing kind of a banshee with shroud support and then a mix of a few other different types of units. Get some reavers in there, get some hunters, get a couple wraiths, and really, again, a diversified army to me is the hardest to beat. If you go a single strategy, unless you are doing a rush, which again, it's part of the game, I totally understand it. But at 15, 16 minutes into the game, you're not rushing anymore, and I think you need to look to make a diversified army. But again, a little bit of that push up front, you know, it cost me some resources, but probably not as many resources as it cost him, especially doing the healing, sending some of his units over. And again, it's essentially a reverse scout for me. It forces him to bring his army, lets me take a look at what he's got. I feel comfortable with the strategy that I was going with. Had I not, I would have swapped off. I would have taken some of the apexes down, and honestly probably went, I might have went Locust, to be really honest. Locust with a little bit of air support and some other infantry tied in, just to really kind of crumble bases. The other thing that I'm doing, and I'm trying to be cognizant of, and the other reason I'm really liking Colony right now, are its top 2 leader tree abilities. Devastating Host, and then the one really at the 12 o'clock position, the one that does constant healing, is absolutely awesome. Now I played one other ranked game before this, and everybody was using Colony. So it's nice to kind of go a colony to colony fight. I think the first person that can get to that healing ability and make good use of it really is going to have a pretty substantial advantage throughout. I also think having you know, the ability to get the Hunter Captain upgraded all the way is also a huge boon, because he's an absolute beast. And so at this point I'm considering, I'm like, should I send him over? No, I decide to keep him. I think I end up sending him back. But at this point, this is where having these top 2 leader powers is absolutely brutal. Again, that attack right there, I absolutely love that. But then bringing in this team, the veteran levels, the diversity of the units in this thing single-handedly saves this base for me. I mean single-handedly. The fact that I can then drop the engineers on them, keep them all healed up, it's absolutely awesome. I pump out just a few more units to keep this base. Now he does some good damage, takes out the turrets in the front, almost gets my armory down, or my war council, sorry. but honestly, it's enough to repel that attack. That was a good portion, if not his entire army. And I know at this point, I've out-researched him, and I'm probably outgaining him in resources, as well as the ability to create units. Now, I know when I kind of make my final push, I know he's made it to advanced logistics all the way, but I'm just confident at this point that I'm pretty much good to go, and I have the capability to start kind of counter pushing. So he made that push to take that base. I think I defended quite well. I think my random little chopper, grunt, skitter army, it completely did what I needed it to. It bought me enough time to be able to call in that devastating host ability with all of those different units. It buys me another time where I'm literally just moving through and keying up every upgrade for everything. That's really my point here. That way, whatever strategy he decides to go, I'll have no problem fighting it. And at this point, I know that 6 Banshees, 3 Shrouds, I'm just going to kind of start to push and kind of see what I can do here. I've got a leader power. I'm going to power that up. I really don't shy away from a lot of that stuff. I took this group again. I'm trying to kind of just pressure, and they're going to honestly not do a terrible job. And the nice thing here is it completely takes his focus off of me sending my little Banshee Shroud army over to that mini base and attacking it. So I'm not going to win this attack. I'm going to take out some units. I'm going to make him, again, spend a little bit of resources, pump out some units, focus its attention, and I think really by the time he starts to notice that, hey, I'm actually attacking that other base closer to his, that mini base closer to his. I thought about using that there. I tried to. It didn't work. That's okay. I'm actually kind of glad about that. So again, by the time that he realizes that, oh crap, they're getting hit, the Shrouds do a great job of protecting these Banshees. They really zap down a lot of that stuff. He did a great job to upgrade those turrets to anti-air. And that's one of the reasons I like playing on this map, is because people don't see that move a lot, especially coming in with the air, especially when I'm essentially fighting on the opposite ends of the map. So at this point here, again, my focus, I'm going to start just cranking out a little bit of different stuff. I'm going to queue up a few different things. I'm going to get kind of a diversified army to kind of mix in with my Banshees here. I end up taking out that mini base. I figure I'm going to actually stick around because I know if I can take out these engineers here, I can then go Shrouded and he'll have nothing really that can continue to shoot. I see that he's got turrets. They're firing. I'm trying to focus on these engineers, and then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to pop the Shroud ability right now. I'm going to get everything shrouded up, and then there's one more engineer that's giving me some trouble. I'm having a hard time. I'm trying to select it like crazy, and I can't. Finally, I think he's got a Goliath under there. Finally it moves, and then boom, everything's shrouded, and I'm just going to get in some cheap damage here, which is another reason I kind of like that setup. From this point, I'm like, all right, I've taken out a mini base. I've tried to build on it. I know I'm not going to be successful. He's going to continue to attack it. But again, the resources it's costing me, it probably pales in comparison to what he's gaining right now. And the fact that I'm just kind of continuing to do some chip damage to a lot of these units, it really doesn't bother me. I realize, okay, this isn't going to work. I'm going to pull these guys back. And at this point, I've determined, all right, I'm going to go full push. Again, I'm going to kind of continue my diversified army here. I'm going to continue upgrading. Always continue upgrading. I've clearly got the resources for it. No issues there. I know he's going to go in a little bit more infantry focus, so I'm going to make a couple Elite Rangers. I'm going to bring a couple Blisterbacks in. That way, if I get the capability, I'll lock those down. A couple Locusts, some Grunts. Again, a couple Wraiths in there. I've got my Hunter Captain fully charged up. And at this point, I'm just going to kind of slowly start to position myself to the middle. Now I go 120 full population here. I want to bring a full army for this fight because my entire goal here is to take out one base. I know if I can cripple one base and take one base out, even if he's got both the other bases fully, completely upgraded, by doing that, by holding that base and then starting to upgrade it and put some defense on it, put some cloaking generators on it, and get it ready to kind of withstand an attack, I should be fine. Even if he counter pushes my bases with cloaking and all the stuff they have, shield generators, turrets, I'm going to be absolutely okay. And take a look here. I'm gonna continue to pump my leader powers into that. The thing I love about that tri-beam attack, and again, I apologize, can't remember the name of it. The thing I love about it is it recharges so fast. It's pretty good, honestly. It does a good amount of damage, and the fact that it recharges so quickly is just brutal. So at this point, I know he's probably been prepping his army from this base, which, boom, I run into it right there, which is absolutely perfect for me, because then I don't have to move very far. I can pump this attack down right here, boom. I'm going to lose a few units, but I'm just going to start to move these in. The other reason I like having the Shrouds is because they have Detect. Same with a couple of Reavers in there. It isn't a bad idea. So he drops in that little team back there. He's got a decent army. I mean, he pumped out a pretty good army. His engineers are going to work trying to heal up. And at this point, I'm literally just waiting until I lose enough population to call my group in. And that was the reason I went in with a full group army. Because I want the capability, I want him to be able to, I want him to be forced to use his ability to drop his group of units in, so then I can then kind of counteract that. And then at this point, it's really just about, you know, staggering leader powers. And I'm going to continue to pump units at this point because I know, you know, I've probably got the advantage at this point. Again, I'm going to kind of try to keep diversified, but I also am aware of the fact that I need fast units that can get over and reinforce. That's the one thing about playing a later game that you have to realize is, I mean, if he wants to continue to pump, and you'll see him doing it, he just continues to pump grunts, probably until he's just about out of resources. You got to be able to weather that storm. I found Banshees are great. If you go, you know, you can go the scout, you know, route. Marauders are probably pretty quick, especially if you've got it's a pretty short jaunt. But I prefer just going air units, couple Shrouds, couple Banshees, and you know, I'm just gonna pop my Hunter Captain's power here just to make sure he kind of gets soaked up anything else he does decide to bring in. And at this point, it's just a mass focus to take this base down. And again, just kind of continue to move around, crank some units out, and just make sure I'm continuing to upgrade, because even if I do take this base, I know I'll have kind of crippled a leg and should be okay to make a final push. But at the same time, I don't want to take anything for granted, because he could be building a huge army at his main base, which I'm going to go clearly attack next. And you know, if that ends up happening, I need to be able to fight that and keep units pumping out, you know, because the tide could turn. At this point, I feel pretty good, and that's kind of how this finishes up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I provided a few good tips for you. Again, by no means an expert, but this was a good hard-fought battle. And the key, again, good scout at the beginning. If you see them expanding, try to beat them to the expansion piece. So we'll fast forward through. Again, I stick around. I make sure that I can take that plot. Once I do, once the base starts building, then I'm not too worried about it, because I can see if it starts to get attacked. But at this point, I just all units in. I'm gonna cloak these guys up, focus on these turrets. He drops the Scarab in, which is what he was saving his resources for. And I hate to say that that was a bad move, because that thing just doesn't stand a chance, especially when I can use the Hunter Captain ability to soak up all the damage. At this point, again, I'm just kind of continuing to pump units. I end up really crippling this base. I think I end up taking it out, and once we do that, I think he ends up quitting or forfeiting to get the victory. So, but again, scout early. If you go the rush strategy, that's totally fine, but if you're not a rush strategy kind of person, totally cool too. Just make sure you're scouting and you can realize it. If you see it early enough, you can definitely combat it. I think this most recent balance update did a great job of providing the capability to do that. You know, only time will tell. You know, we're only 2 days in, but it will be interesting to see. But I think they've really balanced it well, with more so on the buff side than maybe the nerf side, to make a few of the leaders a little bit more viable. But I think some of the strategies that were really dominating the game, I think they kind of got set back in line, and just open a few more strategies for the game, which is refreshing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Comment down below how you're liking the update. Hopefully the update the download and all that stuff went well for you. Sloth was having some trouble, so hopefully he'll be joining me tomorrow. We might be looking to do a live stream. If we do, follow us on Twitter. We'll let you know that way. We've got a bunch of new people joining the Average Gamer Guys Club, so don't forget to do that. A lot of people always looking to play some Halo Wars, so feel free. We will accept everybody. So welcome to the clan, welcome to the club, if you will. And yeah, so let me know. I'm really curious to see what you guys think about the colony update and about using him in Deathmatch. I've been Doc with Average Gamer Guys. Thank you so very much for watching. We'll check in the next one.